In a devastating incident that underscores the importance of proper infrastructure and maintenance, a commuter train crashed into a collapsed hillside, leading to significant damage and tragic loss. This event brings to light the consequences of poor installation and the lack of foresight in maintaining crucial elements of the transportation infrastructure. Over the next 20 minutes, we will analyze the incident, understand the causes behind the collapse, and discuss the lessons that can be drawn from this unfortunate situation. The commuter train, which was carrying hundreds of passengers, was traveling through a region known for its steep hills and fragile terrain. As it made its way along the scheduled route, a hillside that had been poorly maintained collapsed, sending massive debris onto the tracks. The train, traveling at a high speed, was unable to stop in time, and it crashed into the falling rocks and mud. The collision resulted in multiple injuries and fatalities. The aftermath of the crash was horrifying, as the hillside not only blocked the tracks but also severely damaged the train's infrastructure, causing it to derail. Emergency services quickly responded, but the devastation was already widespread. The root cause of this catastrophic event can be traced back to several factors, including poor installation and inadequate maintenance of both the hillside itself and the railway infrastructure. Let's break down the key issues that contributed to this disaster. Inadequate slope reinforcement. The hillside in question had not been properly reinforced to prevent erosion or collapse. The installation of protective measures such as retaining walls, drainage systems, and vegetation to stabilize the slope was either neglected or poorly executed. Erosion can be a slow process, but if left unchecked, it can lead to major landslides or rockfalls, especially during heavy rains or after a prolonged period of instability. Lack of regular inspections. Regular inspections of both the hillside and the rail tracks are crucial to identifying potential hazards. In this case, it seems that inspections were either infrequent or did not include a thorough assessment of the slope's stability. Without these checks, authorities were unaware of the growing risks posed by the unstable hillside. Insufficient monitoring of weather patterns. Weather plays a major role in destabilizing hillsides. Heavy rainfall, prolonged droughts, or sudden temperature fluctuations can all contribute to erosion. If the Transportation Authority had better monitoring systems in place to predict and respond to weather-related risks, it may have been able to act sooner and prevent the tragedy. Poor track alignment. Another contributing factor to the disaster was the alignment of the tracks. Trains are designed to operate under specific conditions, and while trains can handle some level of instability, poorly maintained or misaligned tracks amplify the dangers posed by any kind of debris. Even with the right safety systems, if the train had been operating on tracks that had not been properly leveled or maintained, the impact would have been far worse. The consequences of the crash extended far beyond the immediate fatalities and injuries. The crash disrupted the daily commute for thousands of people who relied on the commuter train system. With trains out of service, passengers had to find alternate means of transportation, placing added pressure on other public transit systems or forcing people to take personal vehicles, leading to congestion and environmental strain. Furthermore, the local economy took a hit as businesses that relied on the railway for the transportation of goods were forced to halt operations. The infrastructure damage also meant that recovery efforts would take months, costing taxpayers and the government millions of dollars. Beyond the physical destruction and economic impact, there is the emotional toll on the survivors, the families of those who perished, and the entire community. Train crashes like this one are traumatic experiences that leave long-lasting scars on individuals who experience them. The survivors, many of whom witnessed the collapse and crash, will likely carry emotional trauma for years to come. Families who lost loved ones in the disaster must cope with grief, while first responders and rescue workers may struggle with the psychological consequences of having to deal with such a horrific event. This tragedy highlights several lessons that must be taken into account by governments, transport authorities, and infrastructure managers moving forward. Investing in infrastructure. The importance of investing in the reinforcement and maintenance of infrastructure cannot be overstated. Proper installation of protective measures for hillsides and regular monitoring. Recent heavy rains and poor construction collapsed onto the tracks, causing the train to derail. The train, unable to stop in time, struck the debris, resulting in a catastrophic crash that left many people trapped in their seats. Some passengers reported a terrifying moment of sudden panic as the train tilted and crashed into the hillside, throwing everyone off balance. First responders were quick to the scene, managing to extricate passengers from the wreckage and transport them to local hospitals. Although there have been reports of injuries, fortunately there have been no confirmed fatalities at this time. However, this incident has raised critical questions about the safety of the commuter rail system and the underlying causes of such a preventable disaster. What went wrong? Initial investigations suggest that the collapse of the hillside, which had long been a known risk area, was poorly addressed by infrastructure maintenance teams. In the years leading up to the incident, there had been multiple warnings about soil erosion and potential landslides in the area. Despite these warnings, efforts to stabilize the hillside were either insufficient or never fully completed. Some experts argue that budget cuts and a lack of urgency in addressing environmental concerns may have contributed to the situation. The track's vulnerability in this specific area should have been anticipated, yet the proper preventative measures were not taken. The failure to reinforce the hillside or install protective barriers likely played a major role in this disaster. Additionally, the train's safety features, including its ability to slow down or stop in time, have come under scrutiny. Could improved signaling or automated systems have prevented the crash, or at least mitigated its effects? The aftermath, an analysis of responsibility. As news of the incident spread, a deep sense of unease began to grow among commuters who rely on the train system daily. Many were left wondering if this tragedy could have been avoided. The investigation now focuses not only on the immediate cause of the crash, but also on the broader issue of inadequate planning, funding, and communication surrounding the maintenance of public transportation infrastructure. Experts in transportation safety have pointed out that incidents like these often reveal a larger systemic problem. Public transit systems in many cities around the world face budget constraints that prevent them from conducting regular inspections and necessary reinforcements. Even with early warning signs, governmental agencies may be too slow to take action. This case is no exception. Despite reports of a fragile hillside, it seems that no immediate action was taken to safeguard the area or alert the necessary parties. Public outcry and calls for reform. As passengers, city officials, and advocates push for a full investigation, public outcry has been swift. There have been increasing calls for greater oversight on the maintenance of infrastructure, with many demanding that the local authorities be held accountable for failing to act on warnings. Advocates for public transportation safety are calling for stricter safety protocols and the allocation of more funds to ensure such risks are mitigated before they lead to disaster. Moreover, transportation experts are urging for more investment in modern technologies that can detect shifts in the environment, such as automated landslide and soil erosion monitoring systems. These technologies could provide real-time alerts to train operators and ground crews, enabling faster responses to impending disasters. The future of commuter rail safety. This incident has drawn attention to the fragile state of commuter rail systems and the urgent need for improvement in their safety infrastructure. The lessons learned from this event could shape the future of rail travel, prompting changes in how such systems are built and maintained. In addition to reinforcing unstable areas, the introduction of new safety protocols and technologies may become the new standard in transportation. The tragedy has also shed light on the role of public and private sectors in maintaining the reliability of public transportation, with cities and towns increasingly relying on trains to alleviate traffic congestion. It is clear that more resources must be allocated to prevent such disasters in the future. As the investigation continues, officials will likely face difficult questions about why the warning signs went unheeded for so long. In the end, commuters are left wondering how many more accidents like T